Welcome everyone to our professional program in user experience UX design. So my name is Gary. I work at the Art and Design department, supporting graphic design, UX, UI, visual arts, interior design, and interior architecture program. My background is in fine art, and I worked in graphic design, branding, and UX design previously. With us today is Ivan Trujillo, specializes in packaging design, branding, UX design, and previously worked for Kimberly Clark Corporation, Acuity Brands, Nice Limited, Atheum IDEO. He is also a freelance designer and has worked with Dunghill, Puma, Safeway, Lexus, Samsung, Emory University, and Maryland J. Erskine Care. Yvonne is currently our program director of graphic UX and interactive design at UC Berkeley Extension, and he will be presenting this info session later on. So during our presentation, you could drop your questions in the Q&A box on the bottom of the screen, and we have a few pauses to answer any questions you may have. So without further delay, I will let Yvonne take over this info session. And Yvonne just walked away, so. So Yvonne will be taking over the presentation right now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Gary, for the introduction. I am the program director for user experience and graphic design, as well as interactive design at UC Berkeley Extension. So first of all, thank you for coming here today, taking the time during your lunch hour to hear this quick presentation. As Gary mentioned, we're going to have some pauses during the presentation for you to place your questions in the Q&A field, and so we'll be happy to answer those. You can type your question at any given time. You don't have to wait until we get there. So that will help us speed the process at the same time. Excuse me. So UX design, it's a growing field, right? And for those with UX design experience and skills, you will be highly on demand in the next probably decade or even more so. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects a 13% increase in job opportunities in the UX design field from now until 2028. And that 13%, let me tell you, it's higher than most fields within this next couple of like 6, 8 years. I also read recently that until 2030, more or less, that 13% is going to be stable. And that means that there are all kinds of different opportunities. So here is a question for the audience. What is UX design? I'm going to give you like 45 seconds to 1 minute to type your answer. Anything that comes to mind that you think it's UX design, just go ahead and type it, and we will read that out loud. And no type of answer will be wrong or anything like that. We just want to know a little bit about your previous knowledge in the field.
Yeah, so just drop those down in the Q&A box, and then we read them out loud anonymously. It's a very quiet group.
Come on, guys.
So what brought you here? Another question, what brought you here? So there's one, user experience design, but I don't know exactly what that means. Is it
Okay.
related? Is it related to web design?
All right. And we will be answering, like, of course, this type of questions. And by the time we finish the presentation, you're going to have a clear idea about our program and what UX design means. And yeah, it will help you clarify a bunch of different questions you might have. Anything else in there, Gary?
No, that's it.
All right, we are going to.
Oh, there's one. There's one. Does it involve graphic design and illustration, but involves more coding?
All right, so here there's going to be the answers for that. So UX design, it's a Gestalt approach to interactive media design by using a collection of elements to form a whole unit. Also, is the emphasis on the human side of human-computer interaction and its effective results in individuals, and the human performance aspect of interface design, which relates to the field of ergonomics. So for those of you that answer, there are a couple of things. It does have some aspects of graphic design in a way when you do interface design or UI design, right? You're going to apply design principles, you're going to apply graphic user interface like principles. You're going to apply also like design systems. And so like it has a little bit of overlapping with what is called visual design, which is an aspect of graphic design. It doesn't necessarily like means that one has to code, but if you have coding skills, that will be a plus for you because there are more things that you can do when it comes to like coding something basic, right? But it's not a must and it's not a need in the profession. All right. So now we're going to pause for some questions you might have so far.
Yeah, so there was one. Can you please clarify the difference between user interface, UI, versus user design?
Okay, so user experience design necessarily doesn't refer to interface design, to screen design. UX design relates to more like problem solving, making everything easy for the user, right? So therefore they have a good user experience. It's making everything in a way intuitive, with good transitions, with good navigation, like finding the right structure for the app or the website or the kiosk. But it doesn't necessarily mean that one is going to be designing the front end. Whereas user interface design means that the person that is in charge of that will be designing what the user sees on their screen, right? So it will be like the buttons, the colors that you see, the navigation system, the interactivity. That's the job of the user interface designer, where this person applies their knowledge in visual design, meaning like color schemes, meaning fonts used for the application and things that the user sees on their end. Any other questions, Gary?
Let's see. When are the courses offered?
The courses are offered like 3 times a year. We have 3 semesters. The next semester begins now in the summer in June. So like early the first 2 weeks of June, we're gonna have different courses that are a part of the program. All the required courses will be offered during the summer, fall, and spring semester. And I will answer that question with more detail when we get to that slide in a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions we have.
All right. So here is like the job opportunities for a UX designer. And so like there are three things that you have to take in consideration. Number one, it's to have your bachelor's degree, right? Like highly recommended, because most organizations are gonna ask about that as a minimum requirement. Then you have your professional program in user experience design, which will enable you to learn many different aspects about the field of UX, plus your resume. And then therefore that will lead you to any of these different positions that you're seeing on the right-hand side. A UX designer generalist, like this is a person that does a little bit of everything. Mostly like UX designers that are generalists, they're going to work for startups, right? Where you have to do a little bit of everything. And that means that aspects about interaction design, that UI design, that user research, information architecture, and so on. There's a person that can be a visual designer, and that person or an UI designer, and those jobs relate more to what I mentioned previously, is what the user is going to be seeing on their screen, right? Like UI is totally screen-based, whereas UX can be applicable to not only applications and websites, but also like organization of information that can be like paper-based, or a system within an organization in the way like people function. So like that's the difference also between UX and UI. And then content strategies, it's a person that is going to be in charge of the content of the application, right? Like the voice and tone, the way that the messages are crafted, the way that the business communicates to their users. Interaction designer, a person that works with all kinds of like different actions when it comes to an application, a website, or a kiosk, right? Like, do I swipe left? Do I enlarge? Do I do all these different gestures that happens in the UI environment? And so like that person is going to be in all those different actions, like how do I move from point A to point B? Information architect, the person that structures the content, the person that works on sitemaps, on task flows, on user flows, and sort of like organizing the content of the business. And normally, like the specific aspects of UX designer and information architect, those are things, or the user researcher, those are tasks that are not normally being seen by the user, because those are things that we do in our profession in order to provide a streamlined process, right? And so like, we don't see the coding of a website necessarily speaking, or of an app when we're navigating it, but there is the computer engineer, or there's the developer behind that, as well as the UX designer doing all of the different actions that are required to have that smooth transition. And we normally see what the UI designer or the visual designer do, right? Which is what we're looking at the interface. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then user researcher is the person that, like finds a way to communicate with the user, right? Like before things get launched, before things happen, or even while they're happening, in order to improve processes, right? So like this person is in charge of like surveys and questionnaires and different kinds of qualitative and quantitative methods of gathering information. So here is our professional program in UX design. I'm going to mention a couple of things that are extremely important for you as you want to find out how we run things at UC Berkeley Extension and what we focus on. So number one, some of you come over here for career change. So the program focuses on these aspects that you are seeing on the right-hand side. Some of you might be coming here for career advancement. That means that you might have some experience in UX and you want to progress in your career, and then you take some of the courses that can be advanced, or maybe that you have knowledge gaps, and then that will allow you to move forward with your career. You can come over here to develop strong UX foundation skills, develop UX specific skills, create a professional portfolio. And this is really important, because when, as a designer, you only don't need your resume, but you also need your portfolio, right? And so you will be sort of like judged in a way by the way your portfolio is set up. So it is important for you to know that all of our courses are designed with this in mind. And that means that from every class, you're going to have a portfolio piece, or at times you will be able to work with one project for 2 different courses, right? And the other goal that people have is to apply to grad school. So the portfolio gets designed for 2 reasons: for employment purposes and for higher education, meaning that those that want to do, a master's degree or even a PhD in design. So here is the breakdown of our curriculum overview about the program in UX design, right? So there are 6 required courses and 1 elective. And then you have, the average time of completion is 1 to 2 years, but you have maximum of 3 years to complete the program. The program can be done on a part-time basis or can be done on full-time basis. And that means if like part-time can be one course per semester, and that will take you 2.5 years. If you take 2 courses per semester, that will take you about a year and a quarter. And then if you do it full time, it can take as little as 2 semesters. So here are the 6 different required courses for the program, and I'm going to explain this, a little bit with depth, and then we're going to also see the list of the different electives. So for the essentials of UX design course, our main goals is that for you to get to know the UX environment as a field of study and how it works, understand and apply user-centered design practices at all times, conduct user research, persona development, usability testing, and compile results. Another goal for the course is to convey design choices through visual and written assets that might include sitemaps, user flows, wireframes, and prototypes. And then apply UX and UI design principles through themed assignments and collaborating with other design students on design critiques and theme presentations. Again, this is an overview of the whole UX environment, so it has a little bit of everything when it comes to UX. And then we're gonna go more specifically into different aspects of the profession. And the number 2 course that we recommend to take is the diagramming and prototyping. And our aspirations for this course is for you to demonstrate which diagram or prototyping method it's appropriate based on where you are in the overall design process. Understand and synthesize information about diagramming through real-world examples, design successful visual diagrams and prototypes that are intuitive and self-explanatory as well, and determine which level of fidelity it's appropriate based on the stage you are in. So there are 3 different levels of fidelity: low, medium, and high fidelity. So we're going to explain those 3, and you're going to have a clear idea of what that means and when you have to use that in the process, when you have to use one of those. And then present your concept effectively and gain buy-in and support from stakeholders. That's something really important for the course. When it comes to visual design principles, like the ambitions that we have for our students is to analyze and construct graphic and visual design using design elements and design principles and incorporate Gestalt theory to study perception and design. Another aspect is to study the design process, spatial relationship, structure, integration of type with imagery, and the use of color through quick visual explorations. Also examine grid systems, and those grid systems are going to be good for both things that you can do on paper and things that are related more to the web and app environment. And then also develop typographic literacy by confidently selecting and applying typography that is going to fit, to that particular purpose that your design might have. and create a portfolio of design pieces that exhibit the principles of design. And then when it comes to user research course, which is number one in our recommendations in terms of the order in which you can take the courses, is to understand usability testing and user experience. Excuse me. Explore best practices for developing a research plan, develop, conduct, analyze, and report different findings from user research study, and ensure that research is applicable to product development, which is an essential aspect, and explore quantitative and qualitative research methods. And course number five, sorry, it's information architecture and content strategy. And our targets for that course is to describe each planning phase of content strategy, integrate also like search engine optimization and accessibility initiatives to enhance content delivery, describe the role of content management system, usage of templates and microcopy in content strategy, and identify related deliverables. That's really important when it comes to content strategy. And then the aspects of information architecture is to evaluate information architecture and content quality as well, and discoverability through user research. So how people discover certain elements that are on the website. How do we make those aspects more searchable, more friendly, and how can people discover those particular aspects of the business? Also, translate research findings into practical designs and content doing cart sorting, tree testing, as well as wayfinding. And also specify design and prototype optimized navigational systems, including labels, tags, and taxonomies, and the whole structure of a website or a kiosk or an application. And the last required course is user interface design. And so that means that, the purpose of this course is to differentiate UI design from other design disciplines, as I explained previously. Know the foundational principles of an effective user interface. Also, like break down an interaction into discrete, detailed micro interactions. Communicate a set of logical conditions through multiple states within an interaction. That's really important, combining the UI with the interaction design aspects. And then articulate the psychology behind what makes UI design work, and illustrate the basic content and functionality of your interaction design project. And then here are some of the electives. And so as you can see, there are 14 different electives in there. UX design portfolio, qualitative research, design implementation and methods, quantitative UX metrics and research. Like course number 2 and number 3 are specifically designed for those of you that might be interested in user research. Then there's a course specifically in human-centered design for data visualization. There's a design thinking and UX strategy, accessibility in UX design, which is paramount these days when it comes to like designing anything that is digital to go with an inclusive design proposal, right? Like if we design in an inclusive manner, we will cover people that might have X or Y type of disability, but not only that, it will benefit everybody across the board. Then service design, for those of you that might be interested in getting some knowledge about coding, there's web design with HTML5 and CSS3. There's an internship in academic and professional practice, and we will show you that at the end of the presentation. For those of you that are more interested in the UI aspects, there is a typography fundamentals course that teaches you, like things about fonts and how do you pair, like several fonts for a project, Illustrator 1 and Photoshop 1, InDesign, as well as branding. And then here is our technology recommendation. So like we recommend that you use a laptop computer and an Apple MacBook of 16 gigabyte RAM, memory RAM will be good. Also a PC with similar capabilities will do a good job. And then having the Adobe membership, which the $19.99 price that you're seeing on the screen, that's what Adobe charges to students, right? And to teachers. And then that you will use for Illustrator, Photoshop, which are highly used in the visual design principles, and also Adobe XD, which is can be used in diagramming and prototyping, can be used in any of the other courses. Other software that you might be able to use, it's Sketch, Figma, InVision, Principle, and many more. And this is valid to mention because in the UX design field, there's not a set of specific software. So it is mostly like a company's preference in using certain type of software, but you will be exposed to different those kind of software in all of the different courses. So you just gotta wait for the instructions of the instructor when it comes to the software that is gonna be used for their particular course. And we come here to make a little pause in case you have any questions. Go ahead and place it in the QA, and then we will be happy to answer those.
Yeah, so there's actually a question. Is it a degree, design related degree necessary before doing the professional program?
No, like I mentioned at the beginning, as long as you have a bachelor's degree, you're fine with that. If you have design experience, of course, that is welcome. But many of our students have been able to transition into the field with their previous degrees, for instance, in journalism or in cognitive science or computer science or graphic design, economics, business administration, and the list goes on and on. So you don't need a specific design background. Like we will teach you like in all the courses from beginning stages to advance in those 6 required courses of the program.
So to piggyback on to that question? Is this a degree granting program?
No, UC Berkeley Extension and most of the extension or continuing education programs nationwide, they don't offer a degree per se. We offer certifications, we offer professional programs, and the programs are designed to give you the necessary skills, content that is up to date for you to be able to design your portfolio and apply for employment or apply for grad school. But UC Berkeley Extension doesn't offer a degree in UX design. It's a certificate.
Do you teach other courses, or are there different instructors for each course?
Most of the courses have an instructor, and we're gonna talk about those in the coming slides. So I would wait a little bit for that.
Yeah, so there's a follow-up question. I think we covered this earlier. What is the duration of the UX certificate program?
What is the what? Sorry.
Duration. How long is the program?
Oh, the duration, like I mentioned, it's up to the student. You can do it on full-time basis, which will take 2 semesters. Also, one can do it on a part-time basis, taking 2 courses or 1 course per semester. And you have a maximum of 3 years to complete the program as a student, but we are seeing that most people finish the program within a year and a semester. And to answer the question for the person that asked about the instructors, so here is the answer for that. Manny Darden, he is a senior UX designer and an instructor. He works at Apple. Jules Epperson is the head of research, and it's an instructor and works at Square. Dr. Jennifer Romano, it's a senior user experience researcher and strategist, also a coach, educator, and an author, and a keynote speaker. She works for Google. Pamela Wong, it's a product development engineer and an instructor, works for Ford Motor Company. Josh Halstead is a senior manager, brand activist, educator, and author, and works at Opportune. And Scott LeCount, he is a UX content designer, writer, mentor, and an instructor, and he freelances. Deborah Michelides is a UX consultant and an instructor, also like works for herself. Sarah Futala, it's a social designer, UX researcher, and an instructor, and also works for herself. Rakesh Padwari, it's a product design manager and educator and works for Facebook. Earl Friedberg, it's a UX lead and it's an instructor and a mentor and works at Google. And there are some other instructors that we don't have on this list, but that's just sort of like a good sample for you to see the variety of instructors that we have in the program. So where you learn, so before the pandemic, we were in the classroom, and that's the way our classroom looked in the San Francisco campus. Like these days, we are online, and we are online in 2 different formats. One, what we call the live online format, which is via Zoom and also using Canvas. And that means that it's very similar to what we're using today. But rather than being a webinar, you're gonna meet with your instructor 6 to 9 p.m. once a week for 30 to 36 hours. What that means is that some courses are 30 hours and some other courses are 36. And the course meets only in the evening. So like if the course that you choose it's on Mondays, then you're gonna meet with that instructor for like 10, at least 10 consecutive Mondays or 12. And then you're gonna be interacting with other students at the same time. We do breakout groups, we do all kinds of different activities like lectures, demos, exercises, critiques. We provide you also live feedback, private feedback, depending of what the activities are set up for the particular day. And so that replicates really well as to what used to happen in the classroom. And actually, we are finding out through different organizations that a lot of the design teams will be working remotely. Like the silver lining of the pandemic is that many companies realized that all kinds of things could be well done remotely, and UX design and some other aspects, some other topics related to different professions in design are good in that format. And then the second format that we currently have for the UX program is the fixed day online. And that's done through a learning management system that is called Canvas, something similar to Blackboard or eCompanion. There are many different learning management systems out there, but we use Canvas. And that means that all the lectures, all the readings, the exercises, discussions, and so on are going to be within Canvas. And then you have access to that, as a student for the entire semester. For the fixed date online, which is an asynchronous method, and that means that you will access the content when it is good for you, when time allows you to do it, when your kids will allow you to do it, when your work will allow you to do it, right? Like we are busy with many, like wearing many different hats. Sometimes, like we work full time or we're parents, and the list goes on and on, right? So like you will be able to access the content whenever you want, whenever you can. It's there 24/7 for the duration of the course. And also we have office hours with your instructor in the fixed day online, and that means the instructor runs that via Zoom. And so you can come by and check in about your projects, questions you might have, questions about assignments or feedback or anything like that, right? That it's pertaining to the course. One thing that I want to also explain over here, the difference in between the two formats, is that for one to choose like one or the other, I want to make you aware of certain things. For the live online, if you are a person that you prefer to be sort of like engage in a group and be with other students at the same time, be with your teacher, request feedback on the go and things like that, the live online format, it's a good format for that type of personality. the fixed rate online will be good for a person that can do things on their own, right? That no matter what, you will get things done because the motivation is there. You're a person that is driven, that don't mind to do things on your own. You will have to participate in discussions and be able to provide feedback to some of your classmates, but this is done on your own time. So I just wanted to clarify the two different formats, as you know, like universities don't necessarily explain that, but I want to make sure that you walk away with clarity when it comes to the two ways of learning, right? And so you know yourself, you know what you can get accomplished, and so choose a format that it's good for your own type of personality. That's our front desk in the San Francisco campus. We're not using the campus at the moment. And here are what we recommend you to do. So in order to earn your award of completion, one has to register for the program, and we're gonna show you how to do that through the website. Complete all courses with a grade of C or better. Pay for each course individually. Prices are available on the website, and we're going to show you that. And when you complete the 6 required courses and the elective, then and all the grades are posted in the student portal, then you will earn the award of completion, which is a certificate in UX design. And let me tell you a little bit what our graduates end up doing, right? Like they end up doing like big things. For instance, Stacy Bolter, she's a UX research associate at Google. Lisa Jacquet, it's a product design lead at Airwallex. Oscar Ko, it's a founding design manager at Nova Credit. Clara Aslai, it's an interaction designer at Google Maps. Ramin Partovi, it's a UX UI designer at iTrade Network Incorporation. And Sana Maksud, it's a UX designer at Amazon. And that's just a small sampling of what our students end up doing. We're gonna show you also on our Voices blog, which is part of the website, different articles with students and also instructors that are part of the program, or students that went through the program. So what you need to do to getting started is if you're here today, you already created a free student account, because by being able to come over here, the university gave you an X number with 6 digits. Number 2, you enroll in a course, and that course should be the essentials of user experience design. If you're doing only one, if you're doing it on a full-time basis, then choose the 4 courses that appear on the list of the website, and I will show you that. And then sign up for our monthly email, which gives you reminders about when the courses begin, when are the dates, what courses are going to be offered for the next semester, and things of that nature. Also, like there will be articles about students and stories about also instructors. And then I just wanted to give, like credits for the different pages that we use. Um, the images that you saw in this presentation are from the students that went through the program. So there are the names and the page number. And also here on this slideshow, we every semester for the UX design program and for the graphic design program, we have something that is called industry review. And then we invite designers to sit one-on-one with you through breakout groups and give you feedback on your portfolio pieces. And so every time that those courses are offered, there will be a section like this where you can sit individually with 2, 3, or 4 designers, depending on how many we have for the evening. And you can ask them questions about your projects. Gary, are there any questions? We're gonna pause here briefly in case there are any questions. And if not, then we also will go to the website and show students, the website and the Voices article.
Yeah, so there are a few. Can all the courses be taken online?
Yes, all the 6 required courses are available online in both formats. Online asynchronous, and which is the fixed date online, and also the live online, which is through Zoom.
Do you provide help with learning about connecting to job opportunities?
The university has a career services department, and they're in charge of like different workshops about like resumes, cover letters. They bring speakers several times during the semester for like free type of events, like talks, and also the internship program. If one registers for the internship program, they will do their best to find you an internship, but it is a partnership between the student and the university.
What do you recommend for prospective student to do to prepare for this type of program?
Well, the recommendation would be like, number one, have motivation. If you want to be a part of the program, just be eager to take the courses, be eager to like work hard for your portfolio pieces, and follow the different instructions that the assignments give you and that the instructors are going to provide. And that's all you need for like motivation and willingness to be able to be a part of not just this program, but just about anything.
That's all the questions we have, so we can move on with our presentation.
Okay, so in case you have any further questions that might come to mind over the weekend or at some point next week, you can find us at extension-UXdesign@berkeley.edu. And also, like, if you want to check our website, go to extension@berkeley.edu/SPOX/UX design.html. That will be our website. Let me stop sharing here for a moment. Hold on. Let me see if I can get out here and go to the website. Gary, can you see the website?
Yeah.
Okay, so here is our website. This is the professional program in user experience design. On the right-hand side, you're gonna have mostly some information that I already gave you, but also there's this person over here. His name is Ramin Partovi. If you click on the name or anywhere on this square, it will take you to our Voices blog. And then here there's the article about, like Ramin's journey in like navigating from a different background, a different role in the past, being a student and now having a job in UX. So I'll recommend you to like read the article. Also, like if you go to the search field over here and you do UX design, hit the magnifying glass, then you will have all different articles about our UX design, former students, and also some instructors. So feel free to go through those. I highly recommend them because they are real stories that can help you sort of like make decisions as to what journey you want to embark on. Let me just go over here. Sorry. Oh, never mind. I can close this and I can come back to the UX landing page. So here, all of the information that I mentioned begin with the essentials of user experience design. If you keep on scrolling down, then there's frequently asked questions. So go through those too. Here, there's more information about the program. Prerequisites, there are no prerequisites to enroll in our program. Here, it has a breakdown of how many hours of instruction, the number of units per course, the type of grades that a student needs to obtain as a minimum, which I mentioned should be a C or better or higher. Here, to register to the program, you come over here, click on the hyperlink, and then go through the on-screen instructions that we're going to provide you. The registration for the program costs $100, and then the estimated cost of the program is $7,793, and that's for tuition fees. That doesn't include the Adobe membership or books or materials, but for the most part, materials for the UX program are gonna be inexpensive things such as like Post-its, blank index cards, pencils, markers, and things of that nature, which are really affordable. Let me go back up over here on the right-hand side of our web page. So here are the required courses, which is the same order in what I presented during the presentation. And so this is the recommended order, starting with essentials of user experience design as number 1, diagramming number 2, visual design number 3, UX research number 4, information architecture and content strategy number 5, and user interface number 6. The electives can be taken at any given time is set for the UX design portfolio. If that is your elective, that's how you want your elective to be. This one should be your last course within the program. And then other electives can be taken at any given time while you're taking the required courses. In the summer, we don't offer as many electives as we do in the fall and the spring semester because, you know, like summer, normally people are just wanting to take some of the required courses or they want to take vacation. So we offer a larger number of courses during the spring and during the fall semesters. Everything that appears on green is the courses that we are offering. Let me go back over here to the required courses. So if you click on the essentials of user experience design, we start here with the course description, you know, prerequisites. This course doesn't have a formal prerequisite. If you click in the plus sign, there's a course outline, which will include the objectives of the course and some of the topics of the course in terms of what you will be learning and what are the methodologies in which you will learn the content, right? And the courses that we recommend next in the professional program. And then it comes like two different sections in the case for this course for the summer semester. It begins on June 3rd, ends on August 19th. The format, online fixed date. And then if you click on the instructor name, there will be a short bio about the instructor. And then has, you know, like provides you the cost of the course and gives you the button to enroll in this particular section. On June 13 to August 22, there will be the type format, which is live online with the instructor over here. The class is 6 to 9 p.m. on Mondays. When you don't see a time frame over here, that means that it's online fixed date and that you're gonna be doing it on your own, on your spare time. And that's it. And if you go to click on the section details, then it will tell you, you know, like all of the information about the course, the format, the number of units that the course has, the equipment that will be required for the course, the materials, software, you know, and also a book. Sometimes books are going to be mandatory. Sometimes books are going to be recommended. Also, a lot of instructors use articles for the readings and or podcasts or like videos and other supplemental materials. And that's pretty much it when it comes to our website and our blog. Gary, do you have anything to add?
No, I think we have all the questions answered.
Okay. And lastly, over here, again, if you want to reach out to us, here it's our contact information. Once again, for email, extension-uxdesign@berkeley.edu.
All right, I think that is the end of our presentation. So if you have any more questions, please email us and we'll answer them accordingly. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. Have a good afternoon. We'll see you again later.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.